From the previous video, we understand how probability is distributed and accumulated. We also need a way to summarize the entire distribution now in a simple way, because looking at the full curve every time is not practical. So we use two key ideas, expectation and variance. Expectations tells us the center of the distribution, and variance tells us how spread out the values are. Let's start with the expectation. Expectation is simply the average value we would get if we sampled from this distribution infinitely many times. But notice something important here. We are not just integrating p of x. We're multiplying x with p of x. That means we're taking a weighted average. X here represents the value, and p of x tells us how important or likely that value is. So values with higher probability have more influence on the average. We'll take a simple example. Imagine student marks. If most students score around 80 and very few score around 40, then the average will be closer to 80 because higher probability values pull the average towards them. There's also an intuitive way to understand this. Imagine the curve is made of a solid material. Then expectation is the balance point, the exact point where you could place your finger and the whole shape would stay balanced. Now let's move to variance. Variance tells us how spread out the values are around the mean. Let's break it down. X minus e of x gives the distance from the mean. We square it so that all values become positive, and also so that values far from the mean get penalized more. Then we multiply by p of x so that more likely values contribute more. So overall, the variance is the average squared distance from the mean. If most values are close to the mean, then the distances are small and the variance is low. This gives a tall and narrow curve. And if the values are spread far away from the mean and then the distances are large, the variance is high. This gives a wide flat curve. Let's take a simple example. Imagine two classes. In one class, most students score around 70, and in another class, students score anywhere between 30 and 100. Both classes might have the same average, but the second class has much higher variance because the values are more spread out. Now, we'll connect this to Bayesian machine learning. After observing data, we don't get a single value. We get a distribution of possible values. If we need one final answer, we use the expectation. This becomes our best estimate. But we also want to know how confident we are, and that comes from variance. If the variance is too low, it means the values are tightly packed and we are confident in our estimate. And if the variance is high, it means the values are spread out and there is more uncertainty. So in Bayesian learning, expectation gives us the answer and variance tells us how much we can trust that answer. And that's what makes Bayesian thinking powerful. We don't just predict a value, we also understand the uncertainty behind it. Now we move into something very important. And this is the bridge between what we learned in discrete probability and what we need for continuous Bayesian machine learning. And the key idea here is the law of total probability. We'll start with the discrete case. And this is actually very intuitive. If we want the probability of x happening, but we don't care about y, then we simply add up all the cases where x happens with every possible value of y. We are basically saying, give me the probability of x regardless of what y is. And to do that, we just sum over all possible y. We can rewrite this using the conditional probability formula here. Now this becomes even more meaningful. This says, take the probability of x given each y and weight it by how likely that y is. So this is just a weighted sum of likelihoods. Now here's the key shift. When we move to continuous variable, we cannot sum anymore because there are infinitely many values. So instead of summation, we use the integration. The idea is exactly the same. We still want the probability of x regardless of y. So what we do? We integrate over all possible values of y This process is called marginalizing out y. In simple terms, we are removing y from the equation by accounting for all its possible values. You can also imagine this visually. Think of P of xy as a 3D surface. Now, if we fix x and sum over all y, we are basically collapsing that surface into a curve, and that curve is the P of x. Now comes the most important and practical form, this particular formula here. This is the version we use all the time in machine learning, and let's understand each part here. So P of x given y is the likelihood. It tells if y is known, how likely is x. P of y is the prior. It tells how likely is each value of y. So what are we doing overall? We are taking all the possible values of y, calculating how likely x is for each one, and then weighting it by how likely that y is. So this entire expression is the average likelihood of x across all possible values of y. Now, why does this matter in Bayesian machine learning? Because this term here, this particular term here, is what we call the variance or the marginal likelihood. And this is the denominator in Bayes' theorem. Whenever we update our belief about a parameter y based on observed data x, this is the term that ensures everything is properly marginalized. In simple terms, it makes sure our final probabilities are valid and still add up to 1. But here's the challenge. In real machine learning problems, this integral is often very hard to compute, sometimes even impossible to solve exactly. And that's why later on we use methods like sampling techniques or approximation methods to deal with it. So conceptually, the idea is simple. Consider all possible causes y and average their effect on x. But computationally, this is where Bayesian machine learning becomes powerful and challenging. Now we finally arrive at the core idea, and this is the main engine behind Bayesian machine learning. Everything we've discussed so far, density, integration, total probability, comes together here. We'll start from the basic definition of conditional probability. This formula here. This is very straightforward. If we want to know the probability of y given x, we take the probability of both happening together and divide it by the probability of x. So in machine learning terms, y is exactly what we want to learn, that is the parameter, and x is what we observe, that is the data. So the goal is, given the data x, what should we believe about y? Now we slightly rewrite this denominator. So probability of x comma y is equal to probability of x given y times probability of y. So substituting this part in this equation, we can write probability of y given x equals to probability of x given y times probability of y divided by probability of x. And now comes the important transition. The denominator probability of x is not just a simple value. From what we discussed earlier, it is calculated using the law of total probability. In discrete cases, it was a summation, but in continuous cases, it now becomes an integration. So the full formula used in Bayesian inference is this formula. Now let's understand each part clearly. Probability of y given x is the posterior. This is our updated belief about y after seeing the data x. Probability of x given y is the likelihood. It tells us how well a particular y explains the observed data. P of y or probability of y is the prior. This is what we believed about y before seeing any data. And the denominator, this is the evidence. It ensures that the final result is a valid probability distribution. So conceptually, what are we doing? We take our prior belief, update it using how well it explains the data, and normalize everything so it remains valid. This gives us a very clear workflow. We start with a prior, which is our initial belief. Then we observe data and compute the likelihood, and we combine them together, and then the result is the posterior or our updated belief. And here's the powerful part. This posterior can now become the new prior when new data comes in. So the model keeps learning and updating every time. One final important point. This particular denominator here, or the evidence, is often the hardest to compute. In simple problem, we can calculate it directly, but in real-world machine learning, this integral can become extremely complex. And that's why we use approximation techniques. But conceptually, everything still follows this formula. So this equation is not just a formula, it's the exact way a Bayesian model thinks and learns from data.